Welcome to the 6th episode in a legendary series about the English Civil War. In this installment, The King's Last Hope, we will talk about how King Charles I made a last-ditch attempt to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat by taking advantage of a split in the rebel ranks between Scot Presbyterians and English Puritans. In England, the rebel armies led by Oliver Cromwell and Thomas Fairfax had taken control of much of the country. Yet another war raged in Scotland, and for the Highland clans, the Civil War became an opportunity to settle old scores. Archibald Campbell was one of the most powerful landowners in Scotland, and he made many enemies on his way to the top. So when Archibald Campbell declared himself for the rebels, one of his old enemies, the MacDonald clan, declared themselves for the Royalists and ransacked his castle. Archibald Campbell was forced to watch afloat on a river barge as the MacDonald clan destroyed his family seat. Archibald Campbell spent the next 2 years planning his revenge, and when he led a rebel army into Royalist-held Scotland, he left a trail of destruction in his wake, burning crops as he marched. In time, Campbell surrounded Dunaverty Castle and forced the MacDonalds to surrender. After the surrender, radical preachers urged the Campbell troops to murder the MacDonalds, as they were nothing but quasi-Catholics and the king's lackeys. The rebel troops then either shot the MacDonald soldiers or tied them back to back in pairs and threw them into the ocean. The war in Scotland became much more important when King Charles realized that his position in England had become untenable. So King Charles surrendered to the Presbyterian rebels in April 1646. Yet King Charles wasn't planning on playing nice with the rebels or Parliament. Indeed, King Charles hoped that his enemies would begin quarreling among themselves once they didn't have the king to worry about. After all, there was a clear religious divide within the rebel armies between Cromwell's Puritans and the Scot Presbyterians. The Presbyterians wanted a national kirk to lead religious life within the United Kingdom, while Oliver Cromwell's Puritans wanted power to go to the local parishes. Yet both sides wanted Parliament to rule the country, and they believed that no Parliament could lawfully hold power without making peace with the king first. Had Charles played his cards right, he could have lived out his days as a constitutional monarch. Yet to Charles, being a constitutional monarch was like not being king at all. So, Charles told the Scot Presbyterians that if they invaded England and put him on the throne, they would get the national kirk they wanted so badly. At first, the Scottish invasion of England went very well. As word spread south of the Scottish invasion, royalist revolts broke out in several cities, including Colchester. Yet Oliver Cromwell and John Lambert inflicted a crushing defeat upon the Scots at the Battle of Preston. Cromwell then moved south to suppress the uprisings in England. One of the last sieges was the Battle of Colchester. At Colchester, Oliver Cromwell had to blow open the gates with a petardier. The petardier had to carry an iron pear-shaped device called a petard that was stuffed with gunpowder. They ran across open ground between their lines and the town walls, with people shooting at them every step of the way. And if the petardier wasn't shot, they would probably be blown up when the petard blasted open the gates. The petardier who ultimately blew open the gates of Colchester only did his job after getting very drunk. Yet he did succeed in blowing open the gates, and Cromwell's troops were able to march in and suppress the royalist uprising. Before the second round of the Civil War, Oliver Cromwell had been undecided about what should happen to King Charles and the monarchy. After King Charles' treachery, Cromwell refused any further talk of negotiation with the king, describing such an effort as meddling with an accursed thing. And Parliament should have been able to outvote Cromwell. Yet the new model army was large, it was permanent, and it was politicized. Worst of all, Parliament could no longer control them. When Cromwell found that Parliament did not share his views on the king, he simply marched into London and evicted 140 Presbyterian members. Cromwell then installed 60 fellow Puritans in the so-called Rump Parliament. And so Parliament, which had started the English Civil War in the hopes of reining in an overmighty monarch, now found themselves helpless before an overmighty military commander. And the first thing that this English Caesar ordered his Rump Parliament to do was to put the king on trial. We will find out what happens next in the last episode of the series. I hope you enjoyed this installment of the Legendarium. If you did, press like. If you want to see more, press subscribe. And if you've got anything to say, let me know in the comments section. Thanks again for joining me, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.